Good day to everyone. So today we will be discussing learners with different learning disability. So my name is Ryan V. Basilisco, your reporter for today. So first, let's define what is learning disability. So accordingly, learning disability, learning disorder, or learning difficulty is a condition in the brain in which a child cannot comprehend or cannot understand simple tasks or simple topics or situations, such as those factors are associated with this, such as writing, speaking, reading, and also simply recalling simple things if left to figure things out by themselves or taught in a conventional way. Learning disorder can't be cured or can't be fixed because it is a lifelong issue. But with the proper guidance or proper support by his or her parents or guardians, then the child who are experiencing this kind of disorder were likely to succeed in his or her studies. And also, the message here is, as a future parents, we need to encourage them, we need to motivate them because they are considered as special. They need special support, special love from their parents or guardians so that they have the will to study, because this kind of child is very fragile. They are very delicate, so we need to adjust ourselves. We should help them so that in future they can be successful enough. So as a parent also, you need to coordinate with different professionals who are expert on this field, such as teachers, because they are the one who teach this kind of student. And also you need to go to a professional who are experts so that they can give an intervention, they can give help, suggestion, so that as a parents you can help also the child who are experiencing this kind of disorder. But before we proceed, I will give you some trivia. Did you know that Albert Einstein couldn't read until the age of 9, but considered as one of the greatest minds of all time? So the message here is, don't lose hope because everything will change. So that is our trivia for today. Difficulty in language and reading skills are the most common learning disability. Accordingly, 80% of the Americans are dealing with this kind of disorder according to the research. So let's find out as we go on with this topic. So there are many parts, or there are many kinds of learning disabilities, but today we will be tackling only three. The most common learning disability: the dyslexia, the dysgraphia, and the dyscalculia. So first, what is dyslexia? So here we will be tackling about dyslexia. So let's define what is dyslexia. Dyslexia is a language-based disorder in which a person is having trouble in understanding written words. It is sometimes also called as reading disorder. So it often affects the areas of the brain that process the language. So people with dyslexia have normal intelligence and also usually have normal vision. But with the help of tutors or with the tutoring program or the SPED program, the child will likely to succeed in it. So there are different types of dyslexia. So phonological dyslexia, surface dyslexia, rapid naming deficit, in the double deficit dyslexia. So first, phonological dyslexia. So the child here is experiencing or having a trouble in breaking down sounds from the language that he or she tries to read. So here, it talks about how the child, or it is the difficulty in uttering sounds from the words that is written on the board. The second one is the surface dyslexia. Surface dyslexia is the child here is having also trouble in reading what was written on the surface, or in recognizing or understanding what was written on the board. So the third one is the rapid naming dyslexia, or rapid naming deficit. So here, the child is having trouble in naming things. They can say the names of the things, but it takes too much time for them to name that particular thing. The fourth one and the last one is the double deficit dyslexia. So here, the child is experiencing two problems. The first one is the difficulty in reading, and the third one is finding the right sounds or finding the right term for what he or she tries to say on the board. Symptoms of dyslexia can be very hard to recognize before entering school, but at the school age, the first one to recognize this is obviously the teacher. So at the school age or before school age, these are the following symptoms. Number one is late talking. The second one is learning new words slowly. The third one is problems in naming letters, numbers, and colors. And the fourth one is problems or difficulty in arranging or in recognizing words or patterns. At school age, the following are the symptoms. First, problems in comprehending what he or she hears. The second one is difficulty in answering simple questions from his or her teachers. And the third one is problems in sequencing things. So the causes of dyslexia are the following. The first one is the family history or the family background. So it is very common. So from the family, it passes from one generation to other generation. The second one is exposure to different drugs like alcohol, nicotine, and other substances that can harm the child. The third one is the premature birth or low birth weight. So those are the causes why there is a dyslexia. So dyslexia can lead to multiple problems such as trouble learning. The first one is the trouble learning. So here is the child is having difficulty in learning different things. He or she is experiencing difficulty in understanding different lessons, topics that the teacher might give to him. It also, the child also feels here that he or she is being ostracized from the society. He feels like he or she is not being included in the society. So that is trouble in learning. The second one is the social problems like anxiety. Dyslexia can lead to anxiety, depression, withdrawal from friends, withdrawal from family like a mother, father. So it can lead to different problems. So dyslexia is very alarming. So now let's proceed to another type of learning disability. The second one is the dyscalculia. So what is dyscalculia? So it is a condition in which it makes it hard to do math or to do tasks that relates to mathematics. It estimates that 5 to 10% of people might have dyscalculia. So other professionals or other people might call it as a math dyslexia or number dyslexia, but it is very wrong accordingly because dyslexia is a challenge in reading, while dyscalculia is a challenge in math. It makes it hard to solve mathematical problems such as finding the arithmetic sequence, arithmetic symbols, and also the writing of 4 operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So people who have dyscalculia may face different problems such as cooking, going to grocery, shopping, or going to place at any time, or any aspect that involves mathematical numbers or symbols. So it is very challenging for them because this kind of learning disability is very challenging because it relates to numbers and mathematical operations. So there are different subtypes of dyscalculia, or 5 subtypes of dyscalculia. The quantitative dyscalculia, the qualitative dyscalculia, the intermediate dyscalculia, the graphical dyscalculia, and the last one is the lexical dyscalculia. The first one is the quantitative dyscalculia. So it is the failure to perform such tasks such as calculating and counting numbers. The second one is the qualitative dyscalculia. It is the inability to master the skills that requires in a certain operation. The third one is the intermediate dyscalculia. So it is the inability to perform certain operations such as adding numbers such as 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, and 3 plus 3. The fourth one is the graphical dyscalculia. So it is the inability to write certain operations such as 4 operation, addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. And the fifth one and the last one is the lexical dyscalculia. So it is the inability to read certain operations such as those presented, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and also other equations that relate to mathematics. So those are the 5 subtypes of dyscalculia. So common signs of dyscalculia may include trouble in remembering facts in mathematics, especially in school. So some people who are experiencing dyscalculia may have difficulty in remembering the different facts and theories that relates to mathematics. The person or certain theories that suggest different theory about mathematics, so they are having trouble with this remembering. Another one is the performing different operations such as addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Another one is the inability to hold or having trouble in holding numbers in their head. So example, if they are calculating different numbers, so there are a tendency that they will forget the numbers in their head. Another one is the trouble in counting money. So the two known causes for dyscalculia are the following. The first one is the genes in the heredity, and the second one is the brain development. So the genes in heredity, so it talks about the family background. So if the child is experiencing dyscalculia, maybe there are tendencies that in the past their family is having also, or there are cases like dyscalculia in their family. The second one is the brain development. Research shows that brain images from both a normal person and a person who is experiencing dyscalculia is different. So it talks about the brain development of a child. So those are the two causes why there is dyscalculia, or why dyscalculia exists. Now let's proceed to the third and the last learning disorder. The third one is the dysgraphia. So what is dysgraphia? Dysgraphia is a learning disorder or learning disability that often affects the writing or fine motor skills of the child. So people with dysgraphia may have trouble in recognizing space, in spelling, or in putting thoughts from their head to their paper. So it is stated that dysgraphia is a neurological disorder, meaning it often affects both children and adults. It is estimated, according to the research from the USA, it is estimated that 20 to 60% of the children who are having ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder may also have learning disability like dysgraphia. According to the different professionals, they describe that children with dysgraphia often hates writing, or writing different symbols, writing different sentences and letters. Mostly, dysgraphia can often be identified when a child learns how to write, but it remains hidden until he or she reaches adulthood. So there are 3 subtypes for dysgraphia. The first one is the dyslexic dysgraphia, the second one is the motor dysgraphia, and the third one is the spatial dysgraphia. So what is dyslexic dysgraphia? So here it is described that the work of a child is illegible, meaning it cannot be read. His or her work is fairly good, but his or her spelling is not good. The second one is the motor dysgraphia. So here it is stated that the child is having poor dexterity, poor muscle tone. So meaning he or she writes a single letter but consumes too much time. So she writes in a slow manner. The third one is the spatial dysgraphia. So here the child don't recognize the space on his or her paper, meaning he doesn't recognize space on his or her writing. So those are the 3 subtypes of dysgraphia. So the following are the symptoms for dysgraphia. The first one is trouble in making sentences. So if you have observed that your child is having this, then you can easily say that he or she is dysgraphic. The second one is trouble in recognizing the space, meaning he doesn't recognize space in his or her writings. The third one is trouble in forming a sentences and following a rules for grammar in writing but not in speaking. The fourth one is trouble in staying in the margins or staying on the lines on the paper. So those are the 4 common symptoms or signs that your child is dysgraphic. The common causes for dysgraphia is as follows. The first one is the family history. So if you have one member of your family who is dysgraphic, then there is a tendency that it will pass on your child. The second one is the intake of the different alcohol, the intake of the different drugs such as nicotine, cigarettes. So those are substances that can harm the fetus, and it may lead to dysgraphia. So those are the common three types of learning disabilities. So the first one is the dyslexia, the second one is the dyscalculia, and the third one is the dysgraphia. So as a future teachers and as a future parents, we play an important role for them, because we as a future parents and teachers, it is very challenging. It is both challenging to teachers and to the child who are experiencing this kind of disorder. We should treat them as we treat a normal person. We should not demean their personality because they are special. They need special support, they need special care, and they need special attention from ours. We should adjust ourselves for them because they need it the most. We should remember that they are fragile, they are delicate, because those learners with different learning disability can be changed if we have the will to change them. We have the will to motivate them, and we have the will to encourage them. Don't lose hope because everything will change. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to our topic, which is learners with different learning disabilities. This is Ryan V. Basilisco, BSN Filipino 2. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Bye-bye!